Hello and welcome to the March meeting for the Corangamite Shire monthly meeting. I'm Mayor Kate Macon and I will introduce my fellow councillors and team around the tables that we have today. So I have Deputy Mayor Laurie Hickey, Councillor Ruth Castrain, Councillor Joe Beard, Councillor Jamie Vogels, Councillor Geraldine Canady and Councillor Nick Cole. And directors and managers around the table today, we have Mr. Shaw, Broadbent Director of Works and Services, Miss Justine Lindley, Director of Sustainable Development. Sorry, my words aren't coming out today. Mr. John Kelly, Manager of Assets and Planning, Miss Katie Hearn, Manager of Community Services, Miss Katie McMahon, Manager of Economic and Prosperity, Mr. David Harrington, Director of Corporate and Community Services, Miss Jackie Thomas, Manager of Finance, Miss Michelle Stevenson, Manager of Human Resources and Risks, Miss Catherine Anderson, Manager of Governance and Civic Support, and last but not least, Mr. David Ray, my CEO. Thank you and welcome. I'll move on to the prayer. We ask for guidance and blessing on this council. May the true needs and well-being of our communities be our concern. Help us, who serve as leaders, to remember that all our decisions are made in the best interest of the people, culture and the environment of the Corangamite Shire. Corangamite Shire acknowledges and pays respects to the Eastern Maar and Wadawurrung peoples as the traditional owners of the lands that we work, live and play. We acknowledge their elders past and present and recognise their ongoing cultural, spiritual and educational practices. Mr. CEO, do we have any apologies for tonight?
Madam Mayor, there are no apologies for this afternoon's meeting.
And do we have any conflict of interest?
Madam Mayor, there are no conflict of interest for the meeting.
Excellent. I'll move on. Item number 5, confirmation of minutes for the 25th of February 2025. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Cole, do I have a seconder? Councillor Hickey, all those in favour? Passed, thank you. We don't have any deputations or presentations today. We do have item number 7, committee reports, 7.1, Audit and Risk Committee Biannual Report to Council, March 2025. Mr. Harrington.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. This report provides Council with a summary of activities undertaken by the Audit and Risk Committee since the last report to Council in September 2024. This report is provided in accordance with the Audit and Risk Committee Charter, but also with the Local Government Act, which requires the chairperson to report to Council every 6 months. During the review periods, the committee met twice on the 12th of December and the 13th of March. There was one change in committee membership, with Councillor Laurie Hickey replacing Councillor Geraldine Canady as the Council representative. A record of attendance and committee activities are provided in the report. The committee made 4 recommendations to Council, which all related to the updating of policies, and 2 of those policies are for consideration of Council today. Mayor, it is recommended that the Council receive this report.
Thank you, Mr. Harrington. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a move for that one, please? Councillor Hickey, Councillor Canady, second it. Councillor Hickey.
Thank you, Mayor. Happy to move this report. It's a very, very important role that the Audit and Risk Committee play on the governance of our council and of our shire, and they're very happy to receive this report and have noted it with interest.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillor Canady.
Nothing much more to say except that we do have a very good team of people on the Audit and Risk Committee with some very specific skills that are very pertinent to our sector, and I've always found that they've been strong contributors on the Audit and Risk Committee. So they certainly are very diligent in terms of overseeing the work that they do. So yes, it's good to see their report and I'm happy to accept it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Canady. Any other comments? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. I move on to item 8.1, Amendment 6C67, Grow Corangamite. Miss Lindley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Grow Corangamite Agricultural Strategy was adopted by Council in June last year, and a planning scheme amendment has now been prepared. The planning scheme amendment is intended to implement the findings of the Grow Corangamite strategy into the Corangamite Shire planning scheme. The amendment updates the municipal planning strategy and the local policy within the planning policy framework of our planning scheme, and provides policy direction for rural areas, including for dwellings, subdivision, renewable energy facilities and agricultural activities. The amendment applies a new farming zone schedule to land identified within the Grow Corangamite strategy as being of state significance. The new farming zone schedule requires a planning permit for timber production. 3 new rural living zone schedules are applied to the land within the rural living zone to identify the existing minimum subdivision area with more clarity. This report presents a recommendation to seek authorisation from the Minister for Planning and to proceed with public exhibition of the planning scheme amendment in accordance with the Planning and Environment Act 1987. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Lindley. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Kennedy. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Hickey. Councillor Kennedy.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, you're aware of the enormous body of work that informed our Growing Across the project. It's covered a whole range of matters that are important within the Corangamite Shire. The focus was on strategic and policy direction and planning controls within the Corangamite planning scheme, and the range of recommendations from that work and the review of the Corangamite Shire planning scheme clearly indicate the necessity to implement this amendment. Our municipal planning strategy and controls must be stronger and more specific to guide good decision making in the future. We certainly have had some quite challenging matters arise in terms of planning decisions. This is especially so in our farming zones to support the proven agricultural activities that have underpinned Corangamite Shire's prosperity and provided the jobs, the economic value, the productivity and the opportunity. One of the key outcomes is the identification of the agricultural land of strategic and state significance that Ms Lindley noted in her address. And this has further revealed how critical it is to manage competing land use, which has emerged in recent years as a concerning challenge in the rural zone. Our farming zones particularly are experiencing increased pressure from new energy projects, timber production and increased requests for accession of small allotments. These are threatening fragmentation of and permanent loss of prime farming land from agricultural use. We must ensure that our farmland of strategic significance and productivity is protected for its strong food production capability and in turn the support of our communities and our economy. So I certainly do support this motion before us.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Councillor Hickey.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And I'd just add that Ag does bring $1.14 billion to the economy of Corangamite, so it is a very, very valuable sector. The strategy does aim to increase the Shire's agricultural land and manage the competing land uses. And agricultural sustainability can be looked at through economic, environmental, but also social. So it's important to make sure that whoever's using this land is actually contributing to the fabric of our community and to our shire. And by protecting the land of significance, it does mean that this will be protected for ongoing generations. So it's a very significant amendment that comes through, and it has some far-reaching objectives, and it covers a lot of what the vision is. So very happy to second this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Is there any other comments, councillors? Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to talk about this. This is all lines on maps and schemes and things, but what we're actually protecting is soil and environment and actual farming land that just isn't everywhere around. And some of the best farming and soils in the state are in this area. We've got some beautiful volcanic soils which are not in a lot of other spots, as evidenced by the volcanoes around the area. And they're some of the most fertile soils you'll find in the state. And they can grow a lot of great produce, dairying, sheep, beef, cattle, wool, etc., that a lot of other places can't grow to the same extent. And so it's very, very important, I think, that we protect these agricultural areas, because if you fill them up with wind turbines or solar panels or whatever and reduce the agricultural value of them, or trees, and you reduce the agricultural value of them, the produce just doesn't come as anywhere else. And this is one of the most, even though we're in a drought at the moment, this is one of the most secure and stable areas in the state for agricultural production. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Any other comments? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. I'll move on to item 9.1, borrowing policy review. Ms Thomas.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this policy is to establish the objectives and principles that outline when it is appropriate for Council to undertake borrowings. Borrowings should always be taken out within a sound financial management framework, which is compliant with the Local Government Act 2020. The policy is being reviewed by management with only minor amendments proposed to allow borrowings from Treasury Corp Victoria. Madam Mayor, the recommendations are before you.
Thank you, Ms Thomas. Councillors, the recommendations before us. Do we have a mover for that, please? Councillor Castrain, so I have seconder, please. Councillor Hickey, Councillor Castrain.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and it's a fairly minor adjustment. It's good that, at this stage and going into budget discussions with councillors, that at the moment council is debt free, but it's good to have that option should council wish to decide to borrow funds in the future. So happy to move that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Castrain. Councillor Hickey?
No, nothing further, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Is there any other comments? If not, I put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Moving on to item 9.2, rating of residential properties used for charitable purposes policy review. Ms Thomas.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this policy is to establish guidelines to assess the rateability of a house or flat that is used exclusively for charitable purposes or is vested in or held in trust for a religious body. Following a review of this policy, there have only been minor changes made that allow for annual review of these properties, and also that council should be notified if the property owner is no longer using that property for a charitable purpose. Madam Mayor, the recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Ms Thomas. Councillors, as a recommendation, do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Beard, seconded by Councillor Hickey. Councillor Beard.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. This policy review is somewhat similar to the previous one, mainly administrative, very minor changes. It's important that we have this, though. It's been occasions where we have had to refer to this policy for some clearer direction, particularly when it comes to when people receive the rate notices and it's somewhat questioned. So no problems, and as I said, the review is offering minor changes, so no problems with moving that motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Hickey.
Nothing further to add, except I would say that it's very important to make sure we have these policies in place and are updated, because it does give us a clear direction as to how to make decisions when we're sitting in this room. And yes, it's a further update, and very happy to second the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Is there any other comments? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. I move on to item 9.3, Councillor Professional Development Policy Review. Ms Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. The support for councillor professional development policy governs the criteria for professional development undertaken by councillors. A review was conducted of the policy with direction provided by councillors. The updated policy includes the increased threshold for CEO approval of individual development requests from $2,500 to $3,000 and minor corrections to updated legislative references. Madam Mayor, the recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Ms Anderson. Councillors' recommendation. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Castrain, Councillor Cole, Councillor Castrain.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm happy to move this. I think professional development by councillors is absolutely vital, and a number of councillors attended the MAV Convention of Councillors held over the weekend, which was an excellent opportunity to not only meet councillors from other municipalities right across Victoria, but also listening to some excellent speakers who are focusing on the future of local government, leadership, sustainability. I think all councillors who attended that would have felt that they certainly got value from that professional development opportunity. So I think it's important to continue ongoing learning as we grow in these roles, and I think this policy certainly makes it quite clear about what's appropriate, what's not. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Castrain. Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just procedural, but happy to move it. There's an increase in the value of only $500, only $500, but not many things that haven't gone up by more than $500 in 4 years over in that part of the world. So more than happy to move it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Is there any more comments? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Moving on to item 9.4, Chief Executive Officer Employment and Remuneration Policy Review. Ms Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. In response to a resolution of Council to appoint an independent advisor to assist the CEO Employment and Remuneration Advisory Committee, a review of the Chief Executive Officer Employment and Remuneration Policy was done and direction sought from the councillors. The update to the policy includes formalising the inclusion of the independent advisor as a non-voting member of the CEO Employment and Remuneration Advisory Committee, the administrative support of the committee to be provided by a manager, governance and civic support, and include the ability for councillors who are not part of the committee to attend as in an observer capacity, subject to the approval of the chair. Beyond the policy updates, the establishment of terms of reference for the committee is also proposed as best practice. Madam Mayor, the recommendation before you is that Council revoke the Chief Executive Officer Employment and Remuneration Policy May 2023 and adopt a Chief Executive Officer Employment Remuneration Policy March 2025 and also the Chief Executive Officer Employment and Remuneration Committee Terms of Reference March 2025. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Anderson. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Hickey, and second by Councillor Canady. Councillor Hickey.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor. Yes, this is a small change in the policy, but has wider-ranging implications. It's good corporate governance. In fact, it's best practice governance to have an independent person on the panel, and this will certainly give us a lot more transparency to the CEO remuneration. So very happy to support the alteration to the policy.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillor Canady.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, certainly the CEO Remuneration and Advisory Committee plays a very responsible role on Council. It sets the measures for CEO performance. These obviously need to be well formulated, effective and also achievable. And reviewing of the performance and benchmarking of the CEO must be done very capably for the best interest of the Council and the organisation as a whole, really. The inclusion of the independent advisor to the committee, I think it's been described as a minor update, really, but I think it's an important one, obviously for improved governance, as Councillor Hickey said, and professional support to the committee members, so that they feel, build skills and confidence in the role that they're undertaking. And of course, that will help to achieve the purposes of the committee with greater efficacy. And I think, we want to see this work done as best as it possibly can be done. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Canady. Is there any other comments? No other comments? I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. I move on to item 9.5, Councillor candidates at federal or state election. Ms Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. The Councillor Candidates at Federal and State Election Policy provides guidance on the requirements of councillors should they become prospective or nominated candidates at either state or federal elections. This policy has been reviewed due to the upcoming federal elections. The review identified only minor editorial changes. Thank you, Madam Mayor. The recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Ms Anderson. Councillors, as a recommendation, do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Beard, do I have a seconder? Councillor Castrain, Councillor Beard.
Sorry, through you, Madam Mayor, I perhaps should have been a bit quicker at explaining. I was wanting to move the motion on what is recommended, but also with an additional line that states that there will be a reference to councillor allowances will be paid in accordance with the Local Government Act. So I probably should check that with my seconder if she's still happy with that.
She is, yes.
Thank you. Councillor Beard, go for it.
Yeah, so upon reviewing the policy, and it is minor changes, so and we have had to, this has been brought into the past because there has been a previous councillor that went down the road of going into another form of politics. So it has been utilised, but I noticed it didn't have any reference around allowances. Now, whether we agree with there should be a remuneration or not to a councillor that's taking a leave of absence is actually out of our control. It's going to be in accordance with the Local Government Act. So the fact that it just hadn't been acknowledged was why I just wanted that mentioned in there. And until such time that changes, then that is the way the policy should sit.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Castrain?
No, nothing further. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Any other comments? If not, all those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 9.6, the Sexual Harassment Prevention and Reporting Policy Review. Ms Stevenson.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. This report recommends that the Council rescind the Sexual Harassment Prevention and Reporting Policy dated February 2022 and adopt the revised version. Sexual harassment is a form of gender violence and is prohibited by both Commonwealth and state legislation and is not tolerated by Corangamite Shire. The policy applies to all council employees, including councillors, given their legislative responsibilities and protections. The policy provides guidance on recognising and reporting sexual harassment or victimisation and offers information about available support services for those affected by or those who witness such behaviours. The standalone sexual harassment policy developed in 2022 has been reviewed in line with the policy review cycle and updates to the Victorian Public Service Commission model for the protection of sexual harassment in the workplace. Key changes include acknowledgement of disproportionate impact, recognising that sexual harassment disproportionately affects certain groups of workers and often coincides with other forms of discrimination based on any of the protected attributes. Enhanced support, it offers additional welfare support, the ability to anonymously report, and protection against victimisation. Clarified reporting options, providing clearer guidance about how individuals or groups can report incidents, and more inclusive language using terms like reports instead of complaints to foster a more supportive environment, and additional external support options. The review also considered amendments to the Fair Work Act, enacted on 6th March 2023, which expanded protections around sexual harassment in the workplace. Minor administrative adjustments have also been made to improve clarity about changing policy's intent. And the recommendations before you, Madam Mayor, that the previous policy be rescinded and that the Council adopt the current policy.
Thank you, Ms Stevenson. Council, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Castrain and second by Councillor Kennedy. Thank you. Councillor Castrain.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. I think by strengthening this policy can only be a good thing. I think it makes it very clear that we have just a zero tolerance at Corangamite Shire for any sexual harassment, and this policy refers to councillors right down throughout our staff. I think it also contractors, I believe, will understand that we certainly won't tolerate that sort of behaviour for anyone who's working for us, either being employed or is contracted. So I'm pleased that this policy is continued to be strengthened, and I believe there's a survey coming out in the next couple of months, Ms Stevenson, which will be interesting to get some feedback from staff, and let's hope we have a zero number of staff who feel they're being sexually harassed. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Castrain. Councillor Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think this is one of our more important policies, because it's talking about people, and the people in our organisation are really, really important, probably the most important. And, this is working towards creating a safe workplace, and that's something that we're responsible for. Like, it's a big responsibility and an important one. Also just creating a really good working environment as well. Because, I think we all know what a difference that can make when you've got the right kind of environment around you. in terms of productivity, just happiness. So I think, I think this is a very important policy that you might think, we have to do a sexual harassment policy, but it's so much more than that. I know Michelle always puts a lot of work into, the underlying research that goes into making sure that we've got the right elements within our policy. So I'm certainly happy to second this motion, and I look forward to seeing what the next survey looks like, Michelle. But I think it's important really that our organisation knows we actually really do care about this.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Any other comments? If not, I put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. I'll move on to item 9.7, Early Years Plan 2025 to 2035. Ms Hearn.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. This report presents the 2025 to 2035 Early Years Plan that will guide and inform Council in its planning and delivery of early years education and care services over the next decade. It addresses workforce, infrastructure and service models for kindergarten, long day care and mobile childcare. It's been prepared in response to state government Best Start, Best Life initiative and likely childcare reforms. The plan proposes investment in upgrade and refurbishment of facilities and will involve working closely with state and Commonwealth agencies and non-government entities. This report recommends the plan be adopted with the recommendations before you.
Thank you, Ms Hearn. Councillors, we have a recommendation for us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Beard. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Higgy. Councillor Beard.
We're all smiling because Miss Hearn just makes us smile every time she presents. So thank you, Katie, for that. And before I start, I just want to make a recognition and a shout out to the staff that have joined us today. I guess that's one of the perks of having a 3 o'clock afternoon council meeting now, where we get to actually thank the staff that have been involved from the ground up particularly in helping form, I should say, this early years plan. This plan wasn't mandated. This is how we value our early years, that this council saw fit to put a budget line item into, getting a plan that we can look to futuristically and help align when we have requests around how we have to be flexible around, infrastructure requests, or whether it's how when the government, when the government does the whole reform with childcare and things like that, how do we act with that? So this plan has been put together with all that in mind, and will help create, giving us some guidance over the next 10 years. So it's great to be able to get it to the table today. One of the lines that really stood out to me in the beginning of the plan was that the plan is to support children in reaching their full potential. It is vital to take a holistic approach to their development, considering their physical, mental and emotional well-being, as well as their overall sense of identity and belonging. That really rung true to me, because often I think looking back, we don't often get that sense of identity in that until we're a lot older. So the fact that we're investing in it at a younger age is only going to make it a better fit for the whole of our community. I love the word holistic. It means we're thinking about everything, but we're wanting our children to be the best possible identity of themselves, and that we're backing that. So we do commit to helping people in our older part of our community, but it means we're doing the groundwork right at the start. The early year plan, as Katie mentioned too, is 4 priority areas, which will enhance the outcomes obviously for the kids, and not only the kids, it's also about their families, and the commitment that they have to the early years of their child. So whether it be infrastructure, workforce, maternal, child and health, and then of course wellbeing, health and the connection, there's 20 strategies that we now have aligned to those priorities, and helps guide our budget process. It was good to see too that it's acknowledged in there. It always comes up that we have a stagnant population, but we've been doing work in structure plans and unlocking housing in a couple of our towns also around growing our population. We don't want to be stagnant. We've got towns that have got such great opportunity, and we've been doing the groundwork in that to make sure that we get that influx of population. which then to me looks at how our early years can be supported in that space as well. So it's an exciting time for our communities in terms of how we're looking at facilitating in the support of our kids. There's also been some great advocacy done. Well, great is probably one word, but it's significant but needed advocacy around childcare. There's all these announcements coming out of the Commonwealth around the hours of childcare that's going to be subsidised, and well, we just want childcare. We'll just be happy to get childcare. So we're advocating for childcare here in not only Corangamite Shire but through the South West Alliance across the region. So that's really important that is identified in this plan, because it's not just going to be something that needs to be happening for the next 6 months. This will be something that's ongoing. I like too that this is really, and I think it's been evident in perhaps definitely the last couple of years, around upskilling our own staff to be able to be flexible enough with when the changes come in from whatever the government sets in terms of the amount of hours, whether it be kinder or these childcare hours, that we've got staff that are ready to be flexible in that space. And I think it also becomes a good place of employment, that we're prepared to grow our own, but also help upskill our staff to where their aspiration is and what they'd like to get to in their career also. I just think this plan, we have been waiting for it because we keep referencing different projects and ideas, and we're like, let's wait for the early years plan. And it really is going to be a great guiding document. I want to thank all the stakeholders who have been involved, whether it be the families, even some of the kids. I believe I'm looking at the officers that they've also had a say in this as well. Right down to the people who work in the facilities that we already have, which is a considerable number. I mean, it's a large workforce that we have. So I just want to do a shout out to all them. But it's an exciting plan, and I'm just wrapped that we've now got a guiding document.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Hickey?
Phooey.
I know, I'm sorry. You can tell I'm passionate.
I can indeed, Joe. And look, when I read this report, I couldn't help thinking to my kinder days not so long ago, when I was at the Camperdown Kinder, and I was actually talking to one of my friends that I made at Kinder way back in the day at the supermarket on Sunday afternoon. It's a very, very important part of a young person's life, the early childhood, and this plan certainly sets out a wonderful plan for the next 10 years, and congratulations to the people who put this together. It is a good read, and it is a responsibility. I see some of the staff here. The others are probably busy working, but it's great to see the staff here today supporting this plan, because you have a huge responsibility with the early learning and the formulation of their minds, and it is a very good policy. But just in summary, I'd like to say what she said. I agree with what she said.
Sure. Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Is there any other comments? Councillor Canady, yeah.
You haven't left much to be said, Councillor Beard, but that's great, because I loved what you said. It was all so on point. But I just wanted to add that, honestly, when I looked at this, I thought, oh my God, there's so much in there. It's just so massively comprehensive. So I think that just speaks to how hard your team worked, Katie, and how hard you've worked to sort of bring this plan to us. But I love that it's just what we do well is being on the front foot. Like you've had a good hard look at what's going on in our community in terms of early years, childcare. You've had a really good look at what's happening today, but you've also thought really hard about what we need for tomorrow as well, in years to come. And, we've certainly identified, and we hear about it constantly, about how desperately parents need support, with childcare and through the years that their children are attending kinder. And I just love that this document's just had such a broad look at that need, and that we're sort of have that will and readiness to support our community in that way, because I think it's a level of support that's incredibly valuable, because it just helps people to blossom and to bloom, and I think it's just been magnificently put together. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Canady. Is there any other comments? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. I move on to item 9.8, Morris Street, Port Campbell Footpath Special Charge Scheme. Mr Kelly.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. This report is regarding the proposed special charge scheme for the installation of footpath on the western side of Morris Street from Lord Street to Great Ocean Road, Port Campbell. From the consultation process for this scheme, which included provision of a letter and survey to owners and also on-site meeting between councillors, officers and property owners, has concluded that the majority of owners do not support contributing funds to the project. With this in mind, it's recommended that the special charge scheme does not proceed for this project. However, it is recommended that a portion of the council's funds be reallocated to construct a section of the path from Lord Street to the entrance to the car park at the rear of the Port Campbell Hotel, where there'll be considerable community benefit with that portion of the path. The estimated cost of that section would be $11,000, which is would make it exempt from a special charge scheme, as it's under the $15,000 threshold set out in the special rates and charges policy. So those recommendations are in the report and set before you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr Kelly. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Vogels. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Castrain, Councillor Vogels.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I'd like to move the officer's recommendation in full. So there was overwhelming support for a footpath, but underwhelming support for a special charge scheme and a co-contribution. So that'll be not going to happen without the support of the people that own and would have paid for the special charge scheme. But we did identify down there it's probably long overdue to extend the footpath about 37 metres up from Lord Street, is it, up on the western side of Morris Street, to give access from the front steps of the Port Campbell Hotel up through to the car park, which has traditionally been a grass, and I've slipped it on myself a fair few times in winter, getting out and across. So currently it's got some fake turf over the top of it, and it will be extremely slippery when it eventually does rain. Fingers crossed, very, very soon. So I have to support that we put $11,000 into getting the 37 metres of concrete in and that footpath, making it safe for residents and the local community.
Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Councillor Castrain.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I agree with Councillor Vogels. Obviously, there's overwhelming support not to proceed with this special charge scheme, and the council did have the option of continuing on with it because it was going to contribute greater than 50% of the total cost. I think council were going to be providing funds for the 75% and 25% for the adjoining landowners. So from that point of view, it's probably just a little bit disappointing, but you never know, we can bring this back up in future years. I can understand why they don't want to pay. There's been a number of footpaths that have been done in the last couple of years, but that's at full cost. But funds for that have come through federal government, number of rounds of local roads and community infrastructure fund, which we really enjoy getting monies in that are untied that we can allocate throughout the community. But I think it is a good outcome that we do the $11,000 worth of work. As Councillor Vogels has said, it's quite a slippery path up there. So if we can help people get safely from the front steps of the pub into the rear car park, then that's not a bad outcome.
Thank you, Councillor Castrain. Is there any other comments? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. I move on to item 9.9, Instrument of Improvement and Authorisation of Officers, Planning and Environment Act 1987. Ms Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. The purpose of the report is to seek Council's endorsement of appointing authorised officers under the Planning and Environment Act 1987 through the updated Instrument of Authorisation and Appointment. The updated request reflects recent staffing changes and is required to enable those staff to exercise the authority required for their roles. Madam Mayor, the recommendation is for you for the members of council staff referred in the instrument attached to be appointed and authorised as set out in the instrument. Secondly, to the instrument come into force once the common seal of the council is affixed to the instrument and remains in force until council determines to vary or revoke. And thirdly, the Instrument of Appointment and Authorisation Planning Environment Act 1987 updated 17 December 2024 be revoked and the common seal of the council be affixed to the new instrument. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Anderson. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Higgy, seconder. Councillor Cole. Councillor Higgy.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, it's important to update these instruments, and I agree that the recommendation should be adopted in full as it's read. As staff change and as they move on, it's important to make sure that we have the correct names on the documents and the common seal, which is all very important as far as governance goes. So very happy to move that we accept this recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Higgy. Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, it's procedural to keep things up to date and on track, so more than happy to move it.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Councillors, is there any more comments? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. I move on to item 9.10, Business Assistance Scheme, March 2025. Ms McMahon.
Thank you, Mayor. We have two Business Assistance Scheme grant funds before Council today. One is a streamlined application, which is the Business Facade Improvement Stream. This one is from Milk and Honey in Timboon, and the project will improve the safety and beautify the second entrance to the business premise. This project is seeking funding of approximately $2,000. The second is a Stream 3 application, which is the Community Enterprise Stream. This application is from Lakes and Craters band Camperdown, and the project is for development of a new website alongside training and upskilling of the group to enable them to self-manage the content on the website and coordinate the ongoing updates. This project is seeking funding of approximately $1,000. Both these applications have been assessed and are recommended for council approval. The report also outlines an opportunity for a variation to the Business Assistance Scheme Stream 1, the Business Facade Grant Program. This follows discussions with Port Campbell businesses who are seeking assistance with outdoor dining and landscaping works arising from streetscape changes as part of the Port Campbell Town Centre Revitalisation Project. To support these works, opportunity to vary the grant program by removal of the dollar for dollar contribution requirement. There is contribution options for council consideration, including a maximum council contribution of up to $3,500, which is in line with existing council BAS Stream 1 maximum contributions, or a contributions of up to $7,000 in recognition that some of the works under discussion are predominantly in the public realm, whereas the majority of Stream 1 applications are usually all on private domain. The proposed variation would be time limited from March to June 2025 and location limited for Port Campbell businesses with a visible street frontage in line with existing business BAS requirements. To ensure timely responses, proposing to delegate the decision-making on applications under this variation to the CEO and report applications back to Council for noting in July 2025. The report is before you.
Thank you, Ms McMahon. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Bogles.
If I could just, while I'm moving, thank you, Madam Mayor,
Can
I
you
might
please
just explain it out a little bit.
Please do.
So I'll be moving the officer's recommendation for the money to Milk and Honey and the Lakes and Craters band and approve a variation to the business assistance scheme, and it'll be in line with the officer's recommendation, removing the one-to-one contribution requirement applications under this variation and capping the contribution to a single business project to an amount of $5,000.
Okay.
To authorise the CEO to approve the applications lodged through the variation and delegation to the report.
So you're wanting to move it that the capping the contribution is $5,000?
$5,000.
Okay, no worries. Do I have a seconder for that recommendation, please? Councillor Castrain. Councillor Vogels, would you like to speak to it?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Approving the time limited and location limited variation would be removing the one-to-one contribution and requirements, removing the one-to-one contribution requirements and increasing the limit to $5,000. The time limit will be to the end of June. And the location of it will be the Port Campbell Main Street and it's visible to street frontages. And this is to enable businesses to respond to the streetscape upgrades, to capitalise on the town centre revitalisation enhancing the opportunity that this presents for them to tie in to the streetscape. So hopefully move that.
Sure, Councillor Vogels. Councillor Castrain.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm more than happy to support the the applications from Milk and Honey and Lakes and Craters, and as well as the variation to Stream 1 to support businesses in Port Campbell. We know that it's been a long, hard slog for them over the last 9 months or so, and it's quite interesting that the business facade stream actually came about as a result of the streetscape works in Terang many years ago when the works were finished, and we looked back at the shop facades and we thought, right, now we need to start supporting businesses so that they can upgrade their facades and make the best use out of what the new streetscape was offering, whether it's further seating out on the footpaths or it's painting or whatever. It certainly made a big difference, and that's been run throughout the Shire now for a number of years, and this new business assistance scheme has replaced that. So while we're talking about Port Campbell today, I mean there is still quite a lot of funds in that pot of money. I think Mrs. Lindley isn't there, so there might be other businesses out there right throughout Corangamite Shire who unfortunately won't get the variation because it's limited to Port Campbell, but can certainly look at applying to that scheme to have their facades improved. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Castrain. Is there any other comments? No. Oh, Councillor Beard, sorry.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. It's probably just worth noting too, in terms of the variation, it may have already been picked up, but it's till the end of June only. Yeah, so just a reminder on that. But look, you just don't realise probably how even a shop front needs a new coat of paint, or there's a new opportunity, just a change of a facade. Often a change is better than anything to coincide with the new streetscape. There's been so much focus, and as it's been already mentioned many times, not just today, about we understand the implications that's been on that street, but we're getting to the end now, and if there's an opportunity that we're able to help support those businesses in a bit of a refresh, then I think this is a good outcome, and not discounting that other communities have had streetscapes before, and they haven't had that same opportunity. So this is a unique one because this is massive. It's been a massive undertaking, but this is somewhat a nice thing to do for them. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Is there any other? Sorry, Councillor Castrain.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, I didn't. It wasn't. It was just a question, if I could, please.
Yeah, sure.
To Ms. McMahon. So, or Ms. Lindley, we're talking about the variation from March to June. I'm presuming that that's only for an application. That's not to have works completed by the end of June. So
that's correct.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just thinking about trying to get painters and things in a short amount of time. Yeah, that's fine.
Good
Thank
pick
you.
up. Thank you, Councillor Castrain, for clarifying that one. Is there Councillor Canady?
Just another small clarification. Thank you, Madam Mayor. To Ms. Lindley, I understand that this applies to businesses that have frontage to the streets where the revitalisation works have occurred. Correct?
That's correct as well. Thank you, Councillor.
No worries, Councillor Canady. Thanks for that clarification too. No other comments? Councillor Vogels, would you like to wrap it up?
I'll just wrap it up with following up from a question from Councillor Castrain. Is there $79,055 left from the $90,000 allocated to the various schemes?
Are you asking that question to Ms. Lindley?
I'm just clarifying Councillor Castrain said how much is left.
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Vogels.
So there's $79,055 left in the kitty.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Councillor Vogels, are we all sorted? Done? Dusted? Happy? Bedded down? Can I get a show of hands as to if we support the recommendation as moved by Councillor Vogels? Carried. Thank you very much. Councillors, is there item number 10 is other business. Is there any other business councillors would like to raise at the moment?
Yes.
Councillor Vogels?
I was daydreaming.
That's okay.
So I'd like to take the opportunity to congratulate the Port Campbell community on their Crayfest on the weekend, which was a big hit. Lots and lots of people down enjoying the sun and the parade, and I was down there for the Welcome to Country and the parade. Then I had to duck off to the farm problems, but there was a lot of people around, and so I talked to a fair few people down on the foreshore and on the decks, because the first 3 decks were open to the general public for the first time. and those were well used and good feedback from people down there. So pretty much, if I can give a rough update on where we're up to in the closing stages of the streetscape, and we're obviously counting down the days now to the end of the major works of the construction for Port Campbell. So the asphalting of Lord Street around the corner at the Lord Street, Cairn Street intersection is scheduled to happen over 3 to 4 hours on this Thursday. And the line marking and the shared zone signage will go in after that completion. We've got traffic works going up on the corner of Pitcher Street, Morris Street, and the works on the top roundabout. This will close Cairn Street to end up being one-way traffic through from up there. We'll still have access for cycle lanes and stuff when you're coming through off the Great Ocean Road, so all the traffic will then be directed down Morris Street, I'm thinking, down past the pub, and hopefully we can start getting buses to park where they're supposed to park and people to park where they're supposed to park. So the raised planting beds and rain gardens and stuff will also be filled up. There will still be works after the 31st to complete finalise defects, fix defects, and obviously it's a bit of line marking, signage and stuff, but it'll all be small stuff. So the main construction will be done, the construction crews will be, and large machinery should be all gone. So as we finalise everything and move into completion of the works in Port Campbell.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Vogels, for that update. I really do appreciate it. Is there any other general business? No? Oh, Councillor Cole, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was just going to mention the same thing as Councillor Vogels, congratulate Port Campbell, and also Tim Boone a couple of weeks earlier with their festival and the 150 years. They did a great job, and they had a great band down there too, apparently. Anyway, and the other thing that's coming up probably is Skipton's, the fishing competition on the 13th of April. Clear the carp out of the Emu Creek, and so we won't be able to mention that, but that should be a good day for people who want to go and catch a fish. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Nothing else? Mr. CEO, do we have any questions or statements submitted online?
Madam Mayor, we do not.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll move into open forum. We have 2 people in the gallery. Would they like to speak? Yep, sure. Yep. Just state your name. You have 5 minutes, Mr. Muniz.
Before I do, Councillor Vogels, it was a terrific community event, wasn't it? And the Tim Boone one was a terrific one. And a comment about the kindergartens, they are a really wonderful feature of the Shire. And I dropped our granddaughter off this morning, and she's 3 years old, and she said to me after 5 minutes, "Grandpa, you can go home and look after Nana now." So I reckon she loves it. It's a terrific thing. Okay, my name's Peter Yurnus, and I'm here to present a petition and to speak to that. And so, and I thank councillors and staff for the opportunity to do this. And the petition is about balustrades on the picnic decks under the Norfolk Island Pines in Port Campbell. The petition is here, and I seek leave to table it.
Yep.
Thank you. And I will speak briefly. The notes you've been sent give an expanded explanation of why we have promoted and are now presenting this petition, and I really do welcome any questions in the time remaining, because there will be time remaining. I've been here before. I have, however, been compelled to return because on that petition we have, in a very short time, 1,412 signatures. That's 1,412 people who love Port Campbell, its residents and visitors, the vast majority of whom live in the Shire or have close family connections. They are expressing the opinion that the original design of the balustrade was unsuitable, that the modifications have not addressed the issue, and are asking council to change the design of the balustrades so that we can retain the views that are so important to so many people. That's why I'm here. Some of you, me included, may question the validity of a petition. and I'm sure you've read the accompanying notes, which I sent yesterday, where we explain the methodology and the steps we've taken to ensure that the signatures are genuine. We've removed double ups, etc. It's actually worth reading through the list of signatories. They represent a very broad cross-section of this community. And a number of people said to me that, hey, I normally don't sign petitions, but, and if I summarise the buts, that summary would be, this was so obviously a mistake. So before leaving you with the petition, that's it. And I really do welcome any questions about the petition, about anything that I wrote. I'm also quite open to challenges about anything that I wrote. So feel free. I've got time, Madam Mayor.
It's not an open forum as in questions back and forth, Mr Eunice. It's you giving us what you need, and if we have any questions later on, we can get them to you. But I'll present this to the rest of the councillors, and I'll refer to Mr CEO to make a comment back, if you may, please.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. And Mr Eunice, thanks for taking the time to present your petition on behalf of those who have signed today. I think there's a process we have to go through in accordance with our governance rules, and given that you've tabled it, we'll assess the petitions against our rules, and we'll provide a written response back to council at the next meeting in April in regards to the specific questions raised and issues raised in that petition. So clearly we've been tabled and we've received some information yesterday. We've certainly not had any time to, I guess, consider a formal response to that petition, but it will be made available at the council meeting, and certainly made available on our website as well in accordance with our rules. A copy of this will certainly be provided to councillors as well.
Thank you, Mr Eunice.
Okay, obviously misread the regulations on your website about questions.
Yeah, sorry, open forums, no questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
I'll just be supporting Peter on that petition, and I think it's...
Can you go to the lectern, please, and state, yes, please. And name, can you just state your name, please?
Manifold.
Thank you.
And I've lived at Port Campbell since 1976, and before that too, as a regular visitor to Port Campbell. I taught at Timburn, and the view from the beach is shocking with the wooden balustrades there, and I think you'll see in the petition that most people are concerned about that. I've only just today seen the horizontal wires. We thought they were going to be vertical. I'm not sure about the safety of having horizontal wires with children climbing them. But basically, the majority of the people in the town are very concerned about that, and the wider Shire too, about the wooden balustrades. I just want to say yes, I agree with the kindergarten. When my 40-year-old was 3 years old, I started up the 3-year-old kinder at Camperdown when the government cut the support for that. So that's terrific to hear that you're supporting the 3-year-old kinder and earlier learning. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That concludes our meeting today. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching online. Take care, and we'll see you next month.